We are ready.
Okay, I'd like to call this Select Board, South Thompson Select Board meeting. Sorry, just got a notice recording in progress. Start that again. Terry, I don't know what's going on, but it says Walter Rice is now the host.
I decline the honor.
I've lost the video. I don't know what's happening, but okay, I got you. Yep, I got you back. Okay, so we'll try that again. I'll call this South Thompson Select Board meeting of January 24th to order at, I guess it's now probably 6:01 p.m. Adjustments to the agenda. I'd like to add consider CEO applicants, which would be a probable executive session. And I believe Amy wants us to, but I'm not 100% clear on that, to talk about the auto load stretcher. And if that's the case, I'd like to add that as well. That's the only two things I have. Does anybody have anything else?
No.
I would like to delete item 6E, the discussion on Knox County Airport.
6E. Okay, you want to delete it as opposed to tabling it at the time, or
No, I think just delete it right now.
is there any objection on the select board members to deleting 6E?
Oh, I'm sorry, it's 6C, Charlie, on this one.
So I have, all right, just to be clear, we're talking about the report from Fire Chief Elwell and Ambulance Director Drinkwater on discussion with Knox County Airport.
Yes.
Okay, is there any objection to making that adjustment by deleting that item?
No.
Okay. All right, any other adjustments? Okay, I'm gonna ask Jeff if you would be willing to run the meeting, as I'm on Zoom, and I actually, it would help me a little bit if Terry, if you could just tell me who's in the audience live. I can see who's on Zoom. That would be helpful. And Jeff, if you're willing and there's no objection from Sue, I'd like to ask Jeff if he would conduct the meeting.
Fine with me.
Fine with me.
Can you just tell me who's in the audience, Terry?
Penny Alley, Sandy Wiseman, Ryan Colson, Amy Drinkwater, and David Elwell.
And what? Who was the last one?
David Elwell.
Thank you. Okay, Jeff.
Okay, public comment for items not on the agenda. Moving on, review and approval of prior meeting minutes, January 10th. I'd entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes of January 10th.
I'll second that. Whoops, sorry.
That's all right.
Any
I'll
further
second that.
Any further discussion, additions, adds, or deletes? All those in favor?
Aye.
John?
Aye, John.
Aye, Jeff. Okay, old business, discussion on the second tranche of ARPA fund. You got any updates or anybody?
I don't have anything to add myself tonight.
No,
Me either. Good.
Yeah, I was wondering what the status of the AED that we're ordering.
Oh, I haven't checked this. She was waiting for, to get that from Emma. I'll check with her. It's kind of gone off my radar.
Both of those are, Knox County EMA is getting both of those through FEMA. Consider mowing bids. I would entertain a motion to approve the bid by Wilson Construction for a 3-year contract at $14,000 a year.
I'll make that motion.
Yeah,
So are you second?
I'll second it.
And discussion, I did talk to him and he did consider, and that's why he did increase it slightly from previous years, the damage at the cemetery. I did tell him to talk to Penny directly, about what kind of damage. But he's happy with the bid and he considers it part of his civic duty to mow in South Thomaston. He has pulled back most of his other contracts for mowing.
Could I just get one clarification? He didn't fill in the years 2 and 3. It's my understanding that he did intend to bid for a 3-year period and it's each year is 14,000. Is my understanding correct?
That is correct. That was an
Okay.
oversight on.
Okay. I think Walter has his hand up too, if anybody.
Oh, Walter, go ahead.
Yeah, can you wind back to kind of do a catch up of status of where you guys are with the ARPA second tranche? That's my first question. My second is, you tabled the bid from last meeting, as best I understand, because there was a wide difference between the two. And I think John especially wanted to get his arms around that. Can you disclose your findings?
Yeah, we were a little suspicious that Wilson may not have considered the fact that we wanted him to take better care in the cemeteries and to make sure that was included in his bid. And it was, even with that, it's probably still a low bid. And so I spoke with Wilson and he said he did take it into consideration and he intended to have a low bid because he considers it more a civic duty than a money-making process for him.
Thanks, Jeff. And the second tranche, just a quick update of what decisions have you made and what need to be made?
Do we want to vote first on the mowing bid and then go back?
Oh, thank you, John. I'm sorry.
No, that's just a question to Jeff.
Absolutely. Any further discussion going? All those in favor?
Aye.
John?
Hi, John.
Hi, Jeff. 3-0. I am looking for the ARPA stuff.
Jeff, I don't want to bog you down, so I'll ask that offline or talk to Terry or somebody. I just wanted to get caught up because this
We got a
appears,
second.
this appears on many agendas and I'm just confused.
Yeah, we put it on every agenda in case we have anything to add to it. We got a second tranche of about 85,000. I think we still have uncommitted about 20,000, I think was the last number. So we're carrying it forward.
Okay, then can I ask that Terry put a scorecard together of the 60-some thousand that have been allocated, and if you want to, if you publish it, it's fine. Send me an email. That's even just as good.
I'd just like to add that I think some of those funds have been completely committed, and some have sort of been, for lack of a better word, earmarked. If I recall, that they're not really actually committed. We've just sort of kind of put them in the back of our mind. And I guess the best way to describe it is earmarked, but not fully legally committed yet. So I think there's two categories.
And I think on her summary, on the summary that she provided last week, I think.
Yeah, on the bottom, it had what we had earmarked, and then above it,
Yeah.
it had what we had spent.
Yeah, pretty well details that. So that's what she'll send to you, Walter.
Thank you.
Okay, discussion on the proposal by the local health officer to use stipend to fund water testing for residents. Did we get any?
Dan, you have a question for me or a question for?
I'm sorry to interrupt. I'd just like you to send me that email too, if you would,
Certainly.
when you send it, Walter. Thank you.
Does anybody have any information on stipend he talked to you about?
I expected that he'd be here tonight.
Just so you know, John, Jan Dowdy came in. He's in our audience.
Okay, thank you. I got just thinking a little bit about this on the water testing, and I was wondering if we're making this too complicated. And maybe we should just agree to accept the money and just put it out that it's out there and it's for people that are in need, and hopefully people will be honest, and somebody who's not truly in need won't come in and take it, and just do it on a first come, first served basis.
I agree with that, except that where we left it with him is he was gonna check and see if they wanted to
Yeah.
handle that. So I'd
Right.
rather, before we move on, I'd rather hear from him.
I thought he
Well-
sent an email saying that they,
That was, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Terry.
thought he sent an email saying Knox County couldn't do that.
Yeah, I did not see.
I
I
did
didn't
not
either.
see that.
Okay, maybe he sent it just to me. Let me look.
But I agree with you, Jeff. I think my comment was based on the assumption they weren't gonna do it. He didn't seem to. He didn't seem real warm to that last time, so,
But he did say he was gonna check, so.
yes, he did, And we did vote, I believe, that to pay him a small stipend to make sure that he was covered for insurance purposes, correct?
Yeah, I think we settled on $50.
Yeah.
Not seeing an email, I must have imagined it. Okay. Yeah.
So you wanna,
Oh, no, that's January. Okay, yes, he did send an email. Can you hear me, John?
Pardon?
He spoke to the clinic leadership and they can't handle a fund. I'm sorry, I thought everyone got that email. No one ever sends one just to me.
so the
Well-
answer is no. So John, you wanna make a motion?
Well, I'll make a motion that we accept the proposal, less the $50 that we paid him, and put it into a fund to be used for people in need, in people with in need of water testing who have facing financial hurdles. That's as ambiguous as I can make it.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
Well, I'm hoping that perhaps the health officer may refer a few people to us. I got a sense he had a couple of people in mind that he thought maybe they should have their water tested, so.
Okay. So we want Terry to disperse those funds as she sees fit.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine with me. I'll make a friendly amendment to the motion. It's a pretty poor motion to begin with. But I'd be happy to make a friendly amendment to that if Sue is.
I am.
You got that, Terry?
What's the amendment? I get to write the check?
Yeah.
Yes, and you don't have to ask us. Okay, all those in favor?
I,
John?
Hi, John.
Hi, Jeff. Okay, discuss possible, Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think we should send a little note to Cliff thanking him. It's really a donation is what it is.
It is.
I mean, it isn't in the legal sense, but. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, discuss the possible dates for a joint meeting with Owl's Head Select Board. Looks like everybody was good with the 8th at 4 o'clock. And you confirm?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'd entertain a motion, or we can just set that day. We don't need a motion.
I didn't hear Sue. Is the 8th okay with the school?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the 8th is great at 4. So Tara, you will have to post an agenda.
With the after school, right?
And we'll need internet access, right, for how many people? Because I think we probably all have to have separate code.
What do you mean by separate phone?
They don't, the schools don't have open internet. You have to have a code to get onto the internet.
Interesting. But if you're in the room,
Like if I go to Alta school, I can't get on their internet without,
but if I had a code to set up Zoom, would anyone else need a code? Unless,
well, no, I guess they wouldn't unless they're gonna be on a computer too, yeah.
okay.
Okay, so, whoops, sorry. I keep forgetting I'm not chairing the meeting.
So I think the school is good, and we'll also have Ed in attendance as well. Okay, next one, report from the treasurer regarding tax acquired property.
It's the hard part of taking minutes and talking to. All right. We acquired 2 properties. And last meeting, you authorized me to send a letter out offering they could buy the property back, the 2 people could buy the property back for the 2020 tax lien payment. One of the gentlemen came in last week and he said he will have that by the 30th. And the other person didn't pick up their certified, so today Hannah hand delivered it to them. I tried this weekend and they wouldn't answer the door. So,
I couldn't hear I couldn't hear that last comment.
I tried to deliver it myself, but they wouldn't answer the door, so Hannah went over incognito and cute little blonde girl answered the door.
So it was hand delivered?
Yes, and they picked up their certified, and they received program now, so.
And this, the deadline is the 30th, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And it is interesting that the process Maine uses for this has been challenged. And it is on the docket for the Supreme Court this session. Which would be interesting if they decide that it's not legal.
Well, it wouldn't be a risk that I would take though.
Right, exactly. But I don't think they can make it retroactive.
No,
Okay.
God.
So report from CEO regarding Wilson Construction notice of violation. And I just want to add, what a great job you did.
Thanks, wait till after the meeting, I asked them a million questions. So we sent Travis the letter that was recommended by our town attorney. And he didn't pick it up, and he didn't pick it up, and he didn't pick it up, so I hand delivered the letter to the office, and gave it to Vanessa. And within probably an hour, Travis arrived. And He says that he's not using that for commercial businesses. Everything he stockpiling there is for personal use for his property. He's gonna build a road, he's gonna build up the lawn, and it's all personal, it's nothing commercial. So Kristen recommends that we send out a letter saying we understand it and
So I just want to be clear, Terry, you're talking about the property on the west side of Bartlett, not the property where his business is permitted.
okay, John, let's not use southeast and west.
What?
Don't
Well,
use southeast and west, I'm not out there.
On the left, going down the road.
Yes, on the left
Right.
going down, yeah.
Right. okay, I just want to be clear, I mean, I knew that, but I just want,
Street property, the Bartlett Street property.
And he sent a letter.
He sent two letters. He sent one letter explaining that I had suggested that, and then you suggested that he send a letter, so we have it. He was very upset that you guys didn't already know that. So he did send a letter stating it was the personal property, he's gonna build a house there eventually, and then he sent another letter stating his similar timeline for moving his business to his new property.
And reiterating that he is not violating any of the conditions of his current home.
well, I suggest that we follow, I believe Kristen advised us to respond to Travis. And to kind of tie this up, and I thought that was a good idea. And I also think that the code officer should respond to the two folks that have been complaining. Basically bringing them up to date that where we stand at this point, without getting into wordsmithing it tonight, but I don't know if Jeff, you and Sue agree, but because I hate to see Mr. Mailer and the other gentleman back at the planning board again, which is not where it belongs in the first place, but
Yeah, I agree. I think a letter to Wilson Construction to tie that end up, and then letters to the two. There might have been a third one that complained as well. But it's been a while.
Yeah, I remember
That's
that
mostly
too.
the one.
That's mostly the one that was the other one too.
Yeah, just send them letters saying we've investigated and they are in compliance. Any further discussion on that one?
thank you, Terry. Nice job as code officer interim.
I said just buttering me up so I keep the air.
Well, now for the second CEO concerning the enforcement of solid waste and junkie ordinance.
This is going to be interesting. So I sent out the 19 letters. I have since had a couple of complaints, so I have 2 new letters for you guys to sign tonight, and I'll send those out. I've had 3 people come in, or 2 people come in, and they were like, okay, you know, what do I need to do? And been very accepting of the letter. And I had one guy call, he's living at his parents' house, and I got his whole life story, and he says he's working on it. So I told him I'd check in a couple weeks, and I told the other people I'd check in a couple weeks to see how things are going, and we'd go from there. And then I have one so far come storming in. We should be ashamed of ourselves, and he will be here. I will be hearing from his lawyer. So I said, okay.
Okay.
I did, I said, you know, I showed him the pictures that had been taken in the fall and the pictures I took. I said, I see you working on it. I said, you know, commend you for making progress and working on this. I said, this is good. And no, that didn't help. So that wasn't interesting. But most people are pretty accepting of it, and I picked a few more green cards up today, so more people have their letters, and this is good.
Okay, well, before we move to new business,
Can I just make a comment on that? before you move off that subject,
Yep.
were you gonna move to something else? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, to the auto loader.
Okay, I just want to make it, everybody understand in the public that this was not an enforcement letter that we sent out. It was simply a letter saying that the code officer, sent out by the select board, saying that the code officer was at some point in the near future going to begin to enforce that. So, I mean, we actually have just basically warned people that they may be in violation. We haven't made it, the code officer has not made a determination of a violation. And I think it's important, that's an important distinction, that we have not actually issued any notices of violation yet. Thank you.
Good. Okay, Amy, did you want to talk about the auto loader?
Yes, so I had sent information on the auto loader, we got the grant, temporary grant. And then they took our stretcher that we have here to try to see if the kit would fit. And I got an email back saying that ours is a 2006 and they're not sure that the conversion kit will work. So I had them send, well, Ryan did, I can't say I did. Ryan had them send a updated, what it would cost to do the structure along with it, which is, of course, another $15,000, I think it was, for the new structure. So it's $45,679 instead of the 28. So that was one of the piece of the AFG grant, maybe putting in for the new structure on that grant, trying to get that. But it will increase the cost in February 1st, like everything goes up February 1st. I think it said 10 to 15%. Strikers increasing all things across the board for the cost increase.
And you already have a grant for 40,000?
30.
30. So we are 15 short.
Well, are we 15 short, or so the current proposal was 28,148.87, is that correct?
Yeah, with the upgrade kit for the structure that we already have.
Plus the trade-in allowance, or minus the trade-in allowance, correct?
Right.
Yeah, so, and now you're saying that the new proposal is for 45,600. So
Correct.
we're, yeah, okay, so we're roughly 14 short. I don't do the math, but, so I guess my question is there, I'm sure probably the answer is no, but is there any chance that the current grantee would be willing to amend the grant if they were made aware of these circumstances? Have we explored that? Or some of it?
I guess we could check that out. Usually they grant that a piece of it, like they don't always go for the whole. I don't know. We can check, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth checking if we explain the circumstances and say we were unaware of this. Even if they were willing to maybe do half of it. So I don't know. That was just a question that I was thinking. So,
I think it was, they grant a certain amount each year. And so to go back, we can't officially reapply years for that.
yeah, I don't suspect that the answer is going to be, I suspect the answer is going to be no, but I still think it's worth explaining the situation and asking the question. That's just my personal feeling. And then the other thing is, do you know how much it's going to increase on,
He said 10 to 15%.
oh, big increase.
No, there will be a 8 to 12 price increase for 2023.
Oh, so it's already increased.
No,
Oh,
they
no.
actually, February first,
I'm sorry, what date?
February first.
Okay. Yeah, I read that. So I read that somewhere. Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay.
So I
So,
kind of was bringing this to see if there's any other ideas, what you guys thought, if we should try and that's why the AFG grant was on the list to say, do we want to go for maybe this equipment, or is there something else you saw in the grant? There wasn't anything we specifically said, hey, but there was an opportunity to use that grant. So,
yeah, and you're under a time crunch.
February tenth,
February 10th?
yep.
Oh, that's for the grant.
For the other grant, yep.
But
But same with the structure
February 1st.
is February first. It would have to be ordered by February first.
Well, I don't see how we're gonna make that deadline. The February 1st.
Well, most of the AFG, the AFG.
That's the grant, yes.
Yeah. Most of those are reimbursement grants, the way I
Yes,
understood it.
they are.
So we, even if we did that, we'd have to expend the funds and then get reimbursed.
Well, maybe get reimbursed.
Maybe get reimbursed, right.
And the other thing is, I read that AFG grant, it's due February 20th, and it said you really need 4 weeks of prep time, but I don't want to get ahead of the agenda, but
Well, I mean, we've still got some uncommitted money in the ARP.
The only thing we were worried about is even 10% is almost $4,500. It's gonna increase.
Right.
After February first.
Yeah, and that's why I'm thinking using the ARP. And if we get the grant, then we've still got the ARP money. Unless anybody's got any other bright ideas. Otherwise, I think we're throwing away the 40,000 or the 20,000.
well, that, I guess maybe that's another question I have. Would they give us some time based on this circumstances that we were unaware of, that, or are they gonna pull the grant, the 30,000 right away, or do we probably don't have an answer to, we don't have an answer to that, I don't imagine, but.
That has to be, it has to be used for the auto loader. There's not like I got that grant and it took me, I think, 6 weeks to find the vehicle and get it all done. We have to have what we did in pictures and a write-up to them within the year. So,
Yeah, no, I know we'd have to use it for the auto loader. I'm not suggesting we use it for something else, but my question is, will they give us some time to fill this gap? I mean, we just learned of this yesterday. And I'm wondering if the grantee, is there a deadline on that? Will we have to spend that by a certain date, or?
The time crunch is not the grant. It's that if we haven't ordered, the equipment striker will increase the cost.
I understand that. I understand that, but I'm also asking, is there a deadline, a closing deadline on when we have to spend the 30,000 by? Or do we have
A
1 year? Okay, so we got some time to fill this gap. I understand we'd have to come up with another $4,000, but.
So is that what we want to do?
I don't know. Like I say, we just learned of it yesterday, and I was kind of racking my brain whether there were maybe some other pots of money that we could dip into. I think we could do the ARPA funds. I mean, Do we want to do that?
Yeah,
That pretty much deletes them.
Do we have ambulance reserve equipment? Is there money in that?
Well, that's a good question. Let me look in the audit report. But I thought, do we have, yeah, we do have equipment. Is that strictly for, the fib though?
No, there's a fib one and then there's equipment.
I don't know. I haven't read it, but in a long time. But I got it. I got it. Do we have any money in it, Terry?
That's what I'm trying to look and see.
Well, I can find that from the audit report too. First, let me find the article. No, the article says an ambulance defibrillator reserve. So I think that would require town meeting approval to change that. Maybe we should change that in the new, in the new warrant, and just say equipment, but. Let me check the 21.
Were there Hopkins funds?
Yeah, it's the same thing.
And then,
Weren't the Hopkins fund used for the ambulance?
People had some of that left off for us.
I don't think so.
Well, we could always dip into the surplus. I mean, we have that authority as the select board.
and we are making money this year.
Why don't you try the grantor first to see if you could, the grant was based on equipment, right? So say that there's been a change of circumstances, at least try, and then, or do a 50-50, you come up with half and they come up, I don't know, do a little negotiating here with the grantor, I would.
Yeah, I think Amy's already done, she's gonna go ahead and do that. The problem is, we aren't gonna meet again. So we need to have a backup for her so that she can order it by the end of the month.
could we use half of the tranche and half of surplus?
Yep.
The only thing I'm concerned about taking too much out of the tranche is that we don't know the exact cost, and that's some of the other things that we had earmarked for,
Yeah,
when they finally come in.
yeah, and I found the ARPA funds sheet that Terry did. And so we do have 40,000 that's not
Not,
earmarked,
okay.
so.
What about the ambulance donation fund? Can we cobble something together here with different pieces? Is there money in there that we could dedicate, some money in there we could use for that purpose? I think there's quite a bit of money in that.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know how much money you have in your ambulance.
Wasn't, at the end of the year, there was about 20 grand in there.
So if we did half from the ARP fund and funding and half from the ambulance.
I don't know, I don't know if that ambulance money is earmarked for something, if the department is sort of working towards something, use of that, I don't know.
Yeah, we have 5,000 that was donated for the stair chair. But other than that, there's nothing else earmarked in that.
Yeah. So Amy's saying that there's a portion of it that's earmarked for a stair chair. But she's shaking her head that using that would work. So I'd entertain a motion to allow her to commit to this striker auto load using ambulance funds and ARP funds 50-50 to make up the difference?
I'll move that with the addition of that we check with the grantee first.
Correct.
And for either, so go ahead.
All right, so it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion, John? No? Any further discussion, Leon? Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
John?
Aye, John.
Jeff, aye. Okay. Did you have something else that you want?
It was just the SFP, I think, on the agenda, in the the AFG grant, but I wasn't sure if you guys wanted us to try that if the other grant didn't work for this. I mean,
I think you, yeah,
is that our-
yeah,
we might as well put in for it, and
Yeah.
then if the other, the money works out, we can stay in the ARPA and stay in the account.
yeah, I agree.
So I'll send an email to, the Tabitha King and just say, this is what happened, is there any way we can even split or do something? And then we'll put together the AFG for the whole amount of this one.
Good. I think that works.
So
Go ahead, John.
I've kind of couldn't hear that very well. Have we moved on to the AFG grant item?
Well, sort of, kind of. Okay, so first thing, as the final backup, the motion you made is the final backup. So before expending those funds, or maybe after expending those funds, she's gonna check with the other grant and see if we can get that grant money. So first, she's gonna check and see if she can get it extended, or if there can get extra money from the grantor. And then she's gonna check and see if she can get this grant. But she's gonna use these funds to enable her to purchase it.
Okay, the AFG grant, though, that's, again, if we're moving on to that, I read through that, and why I think it's an eligible cost, clearly, it's due the 10th, and it said in there that it's a long process to do the pre-application, and you need to start it at least 4 weeks ahead of then, and so on and so forth. So I thought, I could be wrong, and I can't lay my hands on Amy's email, but I thought there was some discussion to perhaps use those funds if we did apply for another purpose. Oh, yeah, it was applying. Amy's email of the January 18th says AFG grant possibility. I'm looking into the SAFER grant. Is that a different grant than the AFG?
The same grant, but it's for full-time people, and I don't think unless you want to discuss hiring someone full-time for the next budget cycle. What the SAFER grant is that you hire someone full-time, fire EMS related, they pay 100%, and then within 5 years, the town ends up taking over them as the full-time employee. So
Okay, so that's different than the AFG grant.
that is part of the AFG grant.
Okay,
And
I didn't see that in the stuff you sent. All I saw in the stuff you sent was for equipment and training. Okay, then I'll wait till we get to that item. I have no problem with trying to get the AFG grant for the stretcher, but it just seems a lot of work for and a very crunch deadline, and I think it's gonna for a little bit of money, but anyways, okay.
Did you have something?
Well, I was just gonna say, for the equipment part of it, it's really not as much work. How's that? Then if you're gonna put the SAFER piece in, that's gonna take a while. You need a lot of numbers and a lot of prep work for hiring someone full.
Well,
So-
I was just reading from the language in the grant, and they said you should start at least 4 weeks before, just lining up the administrative stuff, and we're basically there about now, right? So, but okay.
Yeah, and we are taking that out of order on the AFG grant, so we are on that topic right now. Did you have anything else on that? I think the only thing you can do timely is the.
I agree.
Yeah, and,
And then we can maybe, it's yearly, so maybe prep earlier next time and say, is this what we need, a fire and EMS person, and then talk about it.
I guess what I'm thinking, if we're gonna go through the hassle of filing this AFG grant in this very constricted timeline, do we really want to limit it ourselves just to the $15,000? I mean, if it seems to me we could, and I'm not an expert on this grant, but it seems to me we could do a quick assessment of some of our equipment needs. And, you know, maybe broaden it a little. It just seems like a lot of work for this one small piece, you know, and do we have other equipment needs in either the fire or the ambulance that we should be wrapping into this? I'm not talking about $1 million because there is a match requirement here, but that was a question. But again, you know, didn't have a lot of time to think about it, so, but. And I'm not the one doing the work,
so I think you ought to press forward, and if you can get other pieces of equipment into it.
Okay. We'll talk about it and I'll send some info out to you.
SOP,
Next, is that where we're at?
yeah,
So,
yeah, I'm doing all things.
So, what I sent you is, actually Jan had updated it. We went through and updated what he had, the things proofread and sent it out again to you guys, just because we haven't finalized that piece yet. And I really would like to do that so that honestly, to go in and full-time people and say, look, this is what you need to do, and not have the backup paper to say, this is what you need to do.
Right.
It kind of is moot point. I mean, I can say that to them, but they're really, yeah, okay. But I mean, it's a follow-up. It's like, this is what we expect. And please sign this that you read it and that you will abide by it. So,
So I agree with what John said about referring to our personnel
Yep.
policy. So I don't think, although I was trying to compare and contrast the two versions that I had.
yeah.
I don't think we did that enough.
Okay.
So,
Which I think that's what we were.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Hey, going back a couple of years now, I tried to take a lot of the things out of the SOP that was redundant in the personnel policy and did say, refer to personnel policy. So I could be wrong. I mean, things have obviously changed in the last 2 years perhaps, but I think most of the things that were in the personnel policy that would have been redundant and not unique to the ambulance fire department, we took out of it.
Okay.
I haven't looked at it in 2 years, like,
Right.
and pull it up. And
Did we find the one did you guys find the one that Jan had crossed and?
I think that's the one John had
Okay,
that he sent out.
and I don't remember if that was the last. Jan and I were kind of bouncing this back and forth, and as Jan says, this was a couple of years ago, so my memory's a little foggy here too. But that was the latest one I had on my laptop that I had been working on, that I think was something that I had gotten from Jan and that he had been working on. But I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'm very much in favor of doing this, but I'm not prepared to move ahead with this tonight. I still have a number of concerns. Mainly, I'm trying to find out that we refer to members in some places, in other places, employees, in other places, personnel. And I don't know if those are meant to be the same. Do we, I mean, quite frank, volunteers is another one. I mean, do we actually have any volunteers left? I know we used to have true volunteers, people who didn't get paid. And my understanding is we don't have those, anyone anymore that is a true volunteer. Is that accurate?
Yes.
So as Jen just said, I think it's an old version, because he
Yeah.
fixed all that.
Yeah, I believe, John, that I went in and fixed those things. The last, if my memory serves me right, the last thing I did was send it out to you and Walter, I think, for one more look at it.
Yeah.
Because you made that recommendation before about fixing those, what are we calling these people? I mean, I think we went to
Yeah.
staff. Or look for a generic word there. It's been too long. I gotta go back and pull it
Yeah,
up. But
yeah. Well,
Okay.
clearly Amy doesn't have, if that's the case, then Amy doesn't have the latest version and I don't either. Because that's one issue. Another issue is there's still a lot of personnel stuff in there, but it isn't, the more I thought about it, it isn't just a personnel policy. This sexual harassment, which the town has a policy on, and computer use. And it seems to me that we're gonna end up with two policies. We have this townwide policy that governs everybody, and then we have this SOP policy that governs just the ambulance people. And I just think that that's gonna cause confusion. And maybe even they could be contrary to one another in areas. So there's an area. Now, maybe your version, which maybe I don't have your latest version, takes care of that. But then there's also, there's something at the end that says that people's pay periods can be changed with the approval of the director. And I talked to Terry and she doesn't want to go down that road, having two different pay periods. So I think it still needs a lot of work. But maybe your version, Jan, if you could distribute what you think is your latest version, maybe it addresses a lot of that. But again,
Yeah.
this was so long ago, I kind of can't remember.
Okay, so
I didn't get yours, Jen, it went to them, so that was all fixed in his version.
in his version.
Yeah.
So if Jan, you can send it to us and to Amy.
Yeah.
And then,
Speaking out of turn, hopefully I do still have it.
yeah, right, I kept it. And Amy, if you can take another look at it
Yeah.
and make sure John's concerns are.
Yeah, we had taken all that.
Yeah, all the things that John's mentioned,
everything.
we talked about before, and I think we fixed it.
Okay.
Yeah. But they weren't in either of the versions that Amy sent out.
Okay.
So, and also I want to make it clear if I can that I think it was the select board that dropped the ball on this, not Amy. And I thank Amy for bringing it back up again, because I had completely sort of forgotten about it. And I think a lot of it is great stuff to have for the ambulance department, but I just want to make it clear that it was the select board or me in particular dropped the ball.
Okay, so we want to put this on our next agenda. And hopefully you can get it to us in time that we can actually read through it.
Sorry. It was just like I was circling back around to what things that I had, New Year, making sure we got it.
Yeah.
It wasn't meant to like approve it today, it was just like, can we get this back?
Go. I think that's the sheet that John and I are both on. And so,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Anything from Amy or,
Well, what about the ambulance write-offs?
oh, good call.
Did you ever see anything? You never responded to me.
I did, I'm sorry. How long is it? It's Tuesday.
I agree with you. Quite there. So the ambulance write-offs, Comstar sends me a report every month, and at the end of the report, they have a list of accounts, and I can't remember what they call it, disposition that, and they give the reason why we should write them off, and most of them have already been paid as much as they're gonna be paid by Medicaid or Medicare. Some of them, the patients just aren't responding, and when I look at the names, they're not gonna respond. So this is their current list of accounts they feel we should write off. It totals 15,185.54.
And
Yeah.
it's just enough to make sense.
Some can't.
I would entertain a motion to authorize the administrator to sign the approval of the administrator and the ambulance director to sign the approval of the $15,000 write-off.
I'll move that for discussion purposes.
Second that.
Okay, moved and seconded, and discussion, John?
Well, first of all, for those who are shocked by the number, this is actually quite an improvement from previous years. So that's the good news. I actually, I have a couple of questions. One is, and Terry, I don't know if it's you or Amy, I'm directing this to, but we are sending out the billing company, the new billing company is sending out that waiver form with every bill, correct? But people aren't responding, huh?
We've got two people actually asked for them and sent them in. And one hadn't filled out some information and I sent it back to them and that was the end of that.
And what about the other one?
You guys approved the hardship? Yeah, we did.
Okay, yeah, that's right too. So that system's really not working very well. That's an observation. I mean, before it wasn't working well, I thought, or we didn't really know because the billing company wasn't doing a good job sending them out. But now that that's happening, we're not getting them back from the people. And I guess the other question I have is, I can't remember, but I know with Medicare and Medicaid, I believe it's with both, after a certain date of service, they're not going to pay ever. And is it a year or two, or do you remember?
1 year, Amy says, and a lot of these would fall under that.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Which of these are? So what is that date?
It's a year, 1 year from the bill. It was billed.
Yeah, but I can't tell which ones are that from this list, because I don't know when is it from the date of service or the date of the bill?
The day it gets billed.
Okay. So I guess what I'd like to know is which of these are Medicare or Medicaid that we're never gonna get?
All those ones that like a 101, 110, 96, 295, all the little ones, that's what they are.
So they've already paid.
They've been paid, all that's gonna be paid. The big ones are people are not responding to their letter or their bill, and
Okay,
I see the names of those people, they're not gonna pay.
I understand. But for example, on the 12642, the last one on there, that's not a year old and it's a small one.
But it's already been paid. The insurance side of it has already been paid.
Right, but if it's less than a year old, why, I'm trying to understand why we're writing that one off, for example.
Because the patient's not responding to pay that amount.
Yeah, but we don't have to write it off yet because it's not a year old.
But if the patient's not even gonna respond, why are we wasting everybody's time?
That's not the insurance portion, that's the patient portion.
Right, that's
I
the court.
I understand. My first question is that a Medicaid or a Medicare? And assuming it is, it's not a year old, so why do we write it off before it's not a year old? I mean, we basically take ourselves out of any chance of ever collecting.
But you're only gonna collect, you're not gonna collect any more from Medicare or Medicaid.
Right.
I understand.
They pay that.
I understand. I'm talking about the 126.
That is the patient's responsibility.
I
not Medicare.
understand. I understand.
1 year doesn't make a difference.
And they're not responding to any bills they get.
I think
Okay.
he's asked.
All right, go ahead. I'm gonna vote against the motion. Go ahead.
Well, remember when we started doing this, the whole objective was to get as much as we could from the insurance company.
I remember that. I remember that. I don't like writing these off before we have to write them off. If that is truly a Medicaid thing, but okay, I'm done with it. It's not a hill to die on for me.
Can I just explain something, John?
Well,
So
please don't explain something I already understand.
Okay.
But go ahead.
It is, if it's Medicare or Medicaid or Blue Cross, their insurance has already paid the max. So now it's the patient's portion that's left.
I understand.
So we can leave that on the books and for a year, and then a year from now, we're gonna write it off.
No, a year from the date of billing, you said.
Right. So
Yeah.
we can do that. if you wanna do it.
But we typically just do this once a year,
I think supposed to do it every 6 months.
every 6 months.
So in another 6 months.
I guess my bottom line is I don't like giving up on these before we have to. But move on. I'm gonna vote against it and I'm fine. I'm ready to move on.
I guess from my position, we never have to write it.
Yeah, we do with Medicare and Medicaid because they're never gonna pay after a year.
No, that's a separate, that's what we're trying to explain. That's a separate issue. They're not gonna pay the patient's portion of it,
Oh, okay.
Period.
Yeah, okay.
right?
All right.
So,
Yeah,
So we
I
could-
just. All right, I was under the impression that. Never mind. Go ahead. Let's move on.
okay, any further discussion on writing off everything from 6 months ago and prior? No further discussion. All those in favor? John?
Hi, John.
Hi, Jeff. Okay, anything else you have on the agenda? Walter, you have your hand up.
Well, I didn't get the yellow thing up before you guys voted. And my question is, if it's the patient's responsibility, I hear Terry say, well, they're never going to respond, but what leverage does the town have to collect a legitimate debt from people that are refusing to pay them?
I would rather talk with you about that offline.
Okay.
So send me a note and I'll tell you when we started doing these, why we started doing them and our position. I just don't want to lie.
Well, I was part of that. Part of the rebirth, part of the flush it out from 4 years ago. And so we're in a much better position than we were back then. So keep that up, Amy. And
We made
Terry.
the decision to do that 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And it, well, I think Terry knows well, anyway, I'll talk to you offline about it.
Okay, I mean, I understand hardship and all that kind of stuff. It's just, but I also understand and don't like stonewalling. So I trust you guys to know the difference.
Jeff, could I just add one other thing? And I don't want to belabor this, but I just sort of, I know Medicare itself is the year deadline, but I just feel that people got these forms, we should at least carry it as long as Medicaid carries it. And I just would like people to fill out these forms, and if they have a true hardship, I'd be the first one to grant it. But the fact that people just blow us off irritates me. Then I'll leave it at that.
All right. Now moving on. to new business. Set the date for the annual town meeting,
That's gonna be simple.
except that I thought we decided it would be the last Tuesday of the month.
Oh.
To the third.
I'm fine with either. I just thought it was a tradition that it was the third. The school is available the 20th, but it's so far out, I can't imagine that it's booked up on the 27th.
I know we did talk about the last, but I like the 20th, just in case we have an issue or something. It gives us a few days before the July 1st is on. Is there any problem with the 20th?
It's still gonna be in session.
The school is available on the 20th. I call them.
So the 20th is okay.
I mean, Jeff, are you okay with the 20th? I mean, is that a,
Yeah, it's, I just thought I thought last year we decided that traditionally it had been the last Tuesday of the month, but that was when it was in March.
yeah. I don't know. But I just feel if the school's available and everybody's good on the 20th, let's move the 20th.
Okay,
I'll make that a motion. I move that we set the town meeting date for June 20th, 2023.
I'll second that.
any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
John?
Hi, John.
Hi, Jeff? Going right through these. Okay, discuss the heating system repairs at Guilford Butler. Is that Terry or?
I talked to Jerry today and the $4,500 that he had told Phil, that Phil thought it was just the part, it does include the labor. He says an estimate, give or take. And he said there's a leak in the steam, I have a note. A leak in the something that he said he can epoxy, and that would bring the system. His words were, I could find it. He thought that would keep it going for a while. Because he said it would be in pretty good shape if we fix those two things. So 4,500 is an estimate. We have money left.
What are the two things?
It's what's the part, John, or Penny might know? Condensing thing.
A pump on the condenser.
We had money.
Yes, there's like 13,000 left in the relocation fund. That's, I was looking for the exact number, but. When you go out and order, you pull things out and then you can't find what you
I
really need.
know, I'm sorry. about that.
So he said he can order the part and get moving on it.
Okay, so I'd entertain a motion to authorize the expenditure of funds to fix the to repair, maybe not fix, repair the system.
To replace the pump. We have the.
I'm having a little trouble hearing people. I didn't hear at all with that last comment, whatever it was.
She said to replace the pump and to patch a leak.
Oh, that was Penny?
Yes.
Yeah. I'll make that a motion.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion?
I'd just like to point out, though, I think this is typical of the stuff we're gonna bump into all the time in that older building. I think it's just gonna be repetitive. I mean, we need to do it now. Obviously, we're gonna be in there for a while, but I think it's just illustrative of what we're gonna bump into all the time. there's going to be something like this, and hopefully of this little magnitude, so.
John first.
I just had a question that, can the repairs be made while the system is operational? Now, I think you have to shut the system down once you do,
The system's operational now without it, so I assume.
I mean, to replace the pump and do the patch, I think you're gonna have to shut the system down. And I throw that out there.
I
I
don't
don't
think
know how
so.
long you can go without the system operational.
No, but he
I don't
didn't
think so.
didn't say that.
No. Because it's operational now. And, without this pump, it's working.
Okay. Pump's not working out.
Can you just remind me how old the furnace is in the library? 10 years. 10 years.
And
That's all it is?
Well, it was 10 years. When the future committee was, so probably 12 now. And I would like to add that this is why I would like to seek the grant monies to get the heat pump for the, so we're not dependent on that boiler.
The boiler does the hot water for the building too, right?
No.
Or they're
that's
separate?
Yeah, the boiler does the steam for the radiator. But the efficiency main, has the money through the state available for heat pumps for municipal buildings and libraries. So
Where do we stand with that, Penny? I don't,
I'm waiting in line to
Okay.
have a virtual
okay,
visit.
so it's in the pipeline.
Yeah.
That's the community service?
No.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Hi, John.
Jeff? Consider the streetlight renewal quote.
I'll admit, I don't understand this at all.
So we pay you, Bickwea, a yearly fee to control our lights, our street lights. And they have sent us different quotes. We could pay for 1 year. We could pay for a 5-year contract, or we could pay for a 10-year contract. Or for a 3, yeah. Last year we paid for a 1-year contract, it was $250. And they didn't give us any options for these other years. I'm having a discussion with them on how many nodes we have. First they said we had 60. But we have 46 lights and I have 5 or 6 nodes in the closet. Then they said we returned 10. So now they said we have 50, but that's not enough, so they're one crazy company to deal with.
Is there anybody else doing this?
I don't think so. I think they have they have this deal that whatever was worked out, this is their deal. I don't know, just go with the year one and maybe by then we can come up with another plan. We'll see if you take our lights back. I would love that. I would vote for that real quick.
I personally prefer the 3-year.
Yeah, I do too. I don't think we're gonna change anything in 3 years.
No,
Yeah.
no, we're probably not gonna ever change anything, but I can dream.
I mean, the difference for the 3-year is fairly substantial,
Yeah,
and
it
even if you go to 10 years, it doesn't improve that much. So I'd entertain a motion to authorize a renewal on 3 years at $870.
So move.
Second that.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? John, Jan?
If you could, what does that buy you? This is something I'm not familiar with. What are we paying them for? When you say they,
We have this map
Yeah.
that shows where all our lights are.
Yeah.
I can shut them off, I can turn them on,
Yeah.
I can make them bright, I
Different
can make
times.
them low, I can turn them on at
yeah, I remember.
midnight, shut them off at 2 o'clock. I can make, if you had, like, you had a park, you can do different things in different parts of town.
You can tell when one's out, correct?
I can, good luck getting it fixed, but I can.
So they're doing this for you. When you say you can do that, you're not.
I
doing
have,
it.
no, I go to the website.
You're paying for that service.
I'm paying for the service, the web page to be able to go in there and say, oh, I don't think Jan needs a light down there. I'm gonna shut it off tonight. Or I can turn them all off on St. George Road and turn them on here. Or,
Well, I don't remember this is part of the deal at all.
oh, I've been able to do it since I
But
got here.
I knew we had that capability, but I thought that was our capability at the town office to be able to.
It is, I do it.
So
So
what
we
do they-
have to
what do
pay
they do?
them, this is their like it's like Trio, like our software. This is, we're paying for their software to be able to do this.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's a neat scam.
yeah.
I don't remember any mention of that when we made this decision on the lakes.
Well,
Do you change them often?
I don't do anything, I mean, what do I
Not at
gonna
all.
Do we need to do this?
I have them at 80%. I don't,
Are they monitoring it in any way? I mean,
do they know? I can monitor it. It's like, right now, we have a light out on Elm Street. It's been out forever.
Yeah.
And it's been replaced once. It's still out. And we have a light on the island that is offline. And I trying to find out what exactly that means. And I'm getting, well, it's not close enough to the cell tower to come on. It might still be working. So I've got to go over there some night when I think of it and drive and see if it's working. So, can we have our lights without this? I really don't know. I could ask.
I thought this was the software that generated the whole operation of the lights.
It
But you-
does. But
but-
if you just want, I don't know.
but- Well, then let's ask, we can approve this, but let's ask the question. But my understanding was this was sort of the brains of the light system. And without it, you didn't have a light system, but I don't know. But we could approve this with you asking that question, because if we don't need it, I mean, for years, we knew lights were out because somebody called or came in the town office and told us a light was out. We can go back to that system. But back then, we could get them repaired. So who's supposed to repair them? Hedstrom?
Yep,
Yes and no. The problem on this light is something to do with CMP's second line wiring. And they won't
Yeah.
let Headstone touch it, but they haven't touched it yet either. So Peter Boyd, I think his name is, he's supposed to be looking into it. According to the latest email that I got today,
Where's light?
by Jeff,
You said there was one on the island too.
Ben Bowman.
Not to get us off the subject, but why we're on utilities. We got a ton of poles around town that CMPs moved their electrical wires and the cable companies moved their wires, but the phone company hasn't. So we still have 2 poles all over the place. Another subject for another day. It's worse in Rockland. They're all over the sidewalks with 2 poles now. Okay.
Yeah.
So can we pass this with that caveat that Terry checks whether we need it at all?
Can we do the motion again? I got as far as, a renewal on 3 is at $8.75 depending on. That's
Whether
what
we
I-
actually need it. Or if lights will work just fine without it.
Okay.
Well, I was wondering if Spencer was coming tomorrow.
Yes, they told me they would be here tomorrow. I got out the arm for your light. They're starting in Waldeboro and working their way up to Belfast. So I'm not exactly sure, but I can let you know when they're coming.
While
And
they're in town, doing holding hostage.
they, that's part of the email I got today is he told me, because he was supposed to look at that light and he said, I can't touch it. So, because that was part, they were gonna be here all day because they were gonna do that and your light. And then he said, I can't touch it. So,
Well, can you make sure that one turns off at 9 before you get rid of the control?
probably if you got rid of it, you wouldn't be able to control anything. It just
I
got
know,
on and off
they
like
got you over the
photo
barrel.
cell.
Okay, all those in favor? John?
John, I.
Fine. Consider a service level agreement with Gus Go Consulting. And this is for,
Our IT. They are great. You call and they fix whatever problem.
have we not had an agreement with them?
I don't have any paperwork of an agreement, but I mean, maybe one was done with Owen when they were first here. But his rate's going up and so his, right now his hourly rates are $100 and going up to 110. There is always a minimum charge of 15 minutes, like when you change password or add a new email or anything like that, but he did ask that this be signed.
I think they're outstanding and we're lucky to get somebody to respond as quickly as they do. And I move we approve the agreement.
They are very, very good.
We're going to be, I think without them, we're going to be in the same boat we are with everything else, waiting on people to, whether it's an electrician or whatever. So,
Okay, moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Yeah, I agree. I think it's cheap at half the price.
Do you want me to sign it or do you want to sign it?
That include authorizing Terry to sign it?
sure.
All those in favor?
Aye.
John?
John,
Jeff? Nice. Okay, consider VoIP phone system.
Goodness, I don't think I've talked so much at a meeting before.
You know it. I got the feeling that John let you put this agenda together.
So our phone system, not great. If we have heavy rain, if the black phone goes on my desk, the bat phone that used to be called when Barbara was here, I can't hear it at all. It's complete static. The regular phones, occasionally when it rains, Bill's is staticky, but Hannah's is staticky if it rains. And some days she can't even sit at her desk. She has to get up and move into the middle of the room. So we call Otelco. Otelco calls Consolidated. Consolidated comes out and says, yep, there's a problem with the lines, we'll fix it. And then a few days later, they come back and fix it. And in the meantime, it's not raining, so there's no static. Do I think this is the way to go? I'm leery because I don't really know anything about it. Sue says they have it at the high school. Gus says he has this particular brand. I do have a little bit different quote than I gave you guys the second one, but John doesn't have it. Amy needs a fax for all of her ambulance runs and all that stuff, because that is a different box that goes on and it's an extra $20 a month.
Can I ask a question? How does this compare to our current bill for poor service?
Our current bill is, 173.58 a month.
And this would be, I make sure I got it right, 195? Is
Yeah,
that
but
correct?
This is a little wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it actually be more than that. It'd be, gotta add the 20.
It's 198.93.
Yeah.
What?
Yes, we got a whole new quote for both of them.
Oh, I thought you said it went up $20.
That's a separate, the fax is gonna be a separate bill besides our phone bill. The phone bill is like 198, and then the fax is.
Okay, so it's gonna be 811. So it's gonna go up to 218 for what we have, apples to apples. That's a question.
Approximately, give or take. You know, then they're gonna add the taxes and,
Okay, so the 173 includes taxes.
yes, yeah, 173 includes everything else in the law.
Hello.
We will get new phones with this.
Walter's put his hand up.
Oh,
Walter?
Yeah, who's your internet provider?
Spectrum,
Who?
Spectrum?
So you're doing cable. One thing I would suggest is pursue with Consolidated bundling their fiber optic with the VoIP, because they do that for residents. And somebody should check out the public switch telephony network. In other words, wire, I believe is going away in the US by 2025. So the thrust is no landlines. Now, as with 5G and all these other technological advances, they don't often make the deadlines, but that's stuff that I've read is that telephone lines are going away. And I almost think that's like not just businesses doing it, there's a mandate behind that. But if you want me to research it more specifically, I will. But I would encourage pursuing the bundling of the VoIP with your internet, if Consolidated will do that, because they've done it for residents. That's their standard offer now when they fiber optic your home. And I don't have any more static on my telephone lines because I did replace them with the VoIP. I just have an echo that they haven't solved yet.
Yeah, I personally wasn't ready to move on this tonight. I was interested in looking at other options, but I also, back to my complaining about Consolidated, I also feel that like this has been going on since when I sat in your seat a couple of times. So we're talking years. So I think we can live with it a few more days, but but it is very frustrating when it happens. I will agree to that, but I personally feel another avenue to explore is complaining to the PUC, Public Utilities Commission, regarding this service problem. I mean, and that's something that I'd be willing to make a few phone calls on. Not that I'm endorsing staying where we are, because I kind of like Walter's idea, but or something similar to that. But so I would suggest we table this tonight and pursue a couple of options. Actually, I'll make that a motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, yeah, I agree. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Yeah, aye.
Would you like me to call the PUC?
I would. Gary would too.
Okay.
Now, Spectrum providing internet free?
We're
Somehow,
paying $100 a month.
I wonder about their phone package,
I can, that, yeah.
because that phone, when the power's on, it's great.
Um,
That gives you a couple more.
Yeah.
Then it might be less expensive.
Can I just,
Hey. Go ahead, Walter.
I'm not sure what Penny said, but, so I have, Consolidated, or Fidium's fiber and voice phone. $102 a month. And when I only had their phone, it was $90 a month. So I have a gig of internet up and down plus phone. And we were out one night and the phones went down, and I got a call from, when I got home, there was a voicemail from Texas telling me that my phone line had gone down, but they were fixing it. And by the time I got home, they fixed it.
Who do you have, Walter, Fidium?
Fidium.
How many phone lines do you have here?
And that wire's all over town. I don't know if they have municipal or business offerings, but you should look at it.
Yep.
I agree.
Spectrum does have business offerings, I know that.
Fidium does good business.
Spectrum does, I don't know if Fidium does or not.
Fidium is consolidated though, correct?
Yeah, and ultimately it's Charter Communications, which
You're right.
is problematic to some extent.
You want to bet?
Well, let's see what we can find out.
So you want to, before we go to executive session, you want to schedule future meeting? February, March. Normally it'd be the 14th and the 28th.
I think so. Can you just give me a second to?
Wow.
I did send an email out to budget heads about meeting with you, the board. I haven't heard that from anybody.
I'm pretty flexible,
Yeah,
other than Tuesday, Friday morning.
I didn't know if you wanted to try to meet with them.
I'm sorry, Terry. Terry, I can't hear you. I don't know what's.
I know, I'm not looking at the owl. Sorry. I didn't- I sent out an email to budget department heads to see if, when they could perhaps meet with the board, but I haven't heard back from anybody. I didn't know if you guys had any specific dates and I could send them out and say, okay, these are your dates.
We had a time frame, right?
Yeah.
It was like the third week in February-ish.
The 15th and the 16th.
Yeah, those work well for me. 15th, 16th, and the 13th.
You want
See what I can get for 15th and 16th.
yeah, I think we should be able to do it too.
Yeah. Would the next week be better? They have a meeting on the 14th, that would give you 3 nights in a row.
Yeah.
It wouldn't for me.
Okay,
Oh,
But I don't necessarily need to participate in all of them, but
and next week I've got the solid waste.
how about the last week in February?
we have a selectmen's meeting that week.
We have one on the 14th too.
Yeah. And I assume we're talking now at 4 o'clock, not in the morning. The last few years, we've done these in the morning, so that's not gonna work.
I think
When is the-
Penny and Betty could probably do the mornings and.
No, Sue can't,
Oh, that's right.
and David can't, and, you know,
Well, that he's working now, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, she told me the days that she couldn't make it.
Yeah.
Well, we could do the 21st and the 22nd with the 23rd as backup.
Okay.
I definitely can't do the 21st, and I would prefer not to do the 22nd or 23rd if possible.
Okay, well,
We,
let's go
we
back.
have, we have company arriving the 21st, and they're gonna be here through the 23rd.
Week of the 14th.
Yeah, let's go back to the 15th and 16th.
Or we could do the 13th and 15th.
That's okay with me. Let's do the
13th.
13th.
13th and 15th?
Yeah, with the 16th as a backup.
And those are budget.
Yeah.
And at 4 o'clock.
I don't know. Is that a good time, Terry?
Good for me.
Sure.
I mean, I can do 3:30 if people prefer.
I think that might. Well, David, I don't know what time David gets out. Amy probably would rather have it a little earlier, but
Well, we could always. I mean, he doesn't have to be cursed, so
Right.
he could be after someone, so if he got here at 4.
So do you want to set it at 3:30? Does that help people or does that, what was 4 better?
February 13th, 15th.
At 3:30?
Yeah.
I picked Monday,
You pick Monday?
if possible, that'd be better. I mean,
Well, you're here, so you
Yeah.
want to be at 3:30?
Yeah.
so have we picked the dates?
Yes.
Yes, the 13th and the 15th at 3:30. With the backup on the,
On the, and a backup on the 16th. Is that correct?
correct.
Yeah.
Thank you. And we still need to do March, right?
I think we said the 14th and the 28th.
No, I was checking my calendar. And I can't do the 28th. That's the day we check out of here. I'm gonna be on the road. I could do the 20. Well, Jeff, when's your Lions? The 1st and 3rd?
Yeah, well, it's not on the 3rd. In March, we only meet the 1st, so I could do the 21st.
So you're meeting the 7th?
Yeah, the Lions meet on the 7th.
Right.
Selectboard on the 14th.
You think we can get away with just one meeting on the 21st? We could always add a little piece of business on February 13th or 15th or. Oh, no,
Yeah.
we got the 28th.
And don't we start doing the budget committee?
Yes, we were gonna do those in the first week in April, I think I sent out.
Okay.
But at some point before, you guys have to approve. Well, it worked out best. I think it works out best when all of you are on the same page with the budget before you go to the budget committee instead of
Yeah.
everyone trying to decide everything then.
Yeah.
But that's something.
Well, we could always hold a special meeting at 4 o'clock or something.
Yep.
So you want to just shoot for the 21st for now?
Oh, yeah, that'd be good,
Of March
of March,
And
and not do the
and
14th.
not do the 14th.
Yeah. And then if we have something that comes up, we can always have a special meeting
Okay.
because we're scheduling, a meeting on February 8th. We're getting a lot of meetings scheduled here, so.
Cool.
Well, the 13th and the 15th, I can do that.
Yeah, February 13th.
What time?
We'll start at 3:30, so whatever time we'll be there.
15's good for me.
At 3:30?
Sure. Maybe I'll take that. Oh, no, you take them.
Okay. All right, so we'll put you guys at 4,
Four would be great.
and you'll do fire then too, David? No, that's great. So it's not one.
So we just moved the 15th to 4.
No,
No,
no.
still
Okay.
3:30.
All right, I'm having a little trouble hearing because there's multiple conversations going on, so.
Yeah, we've got the fire chief and the ambulance director picking
Oh.
their time.
Oh, okay. I thought I heard we were gonna move.
Comes in as Betty, and the rest, I mean, John's gonna present
Right.
the town roads, and
Your CEO.
I do most of the rest of it, I think. We're gonna work on the solid waste and then shoot it over to John to look at. Who else usually comes to present theirs? That's kind of.
Well, we gotta talk about building and grounds, which you
Yeah.
usually kind of prep, and we kind of prep, whatever. And really should get input from everybody, but that's a big one.
Yeah. But we don't need to worry about scheduling someone for those because there's not an outside person besides 4 of us that are gonna work on that.
Right. Think it's only realistically Betty, Penny, David and Amy, I think.
Yeah, so I think Betty could
Oh,
be Thursday.
what about Kevin? Well, Kevin usually just passes stuff to you, right?
Kevin? Oh,
Assessors.
Yeah, they don't, yeah.
Yeah,
And I already
okay.
heard, and he said his agenda, his budget from last year was fine, so.
Okay. So can someone recap for me to make sure I didn't miss something in the,
Yeah, okay, in February, we're gonna meet on the 13th to discuss the budget. And then on the 14th for select board meeting. And then on the 15th for budget with the department.
okay, I got that. And in March, we're only gonna have one meeting scheduled so far on the 21st.
Correct.
I can't meet the 13th. I know I suggested it, but I forgot something.
I think I'm making 30 on the 15th.
Okay. So we could do the 15th and the 16th?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, hey, John, the
Yeah.
13th work,
The 13th, what?
13th does not work for budget.
Okay,
16th work or? did it-
Yes. So
So
we'll do the 15th and the 16th.
got it.
And in March, we're just meeting on the 21st. And I think that takes
And we
care
are-
of every,
And we already have in February, the 14th, the 8th, the 14th, and the 28th, correct?
Yes.
yes, the 8th, the 14th, and the 28th
Okay,
The 8th.
is the.
And I'll set it.
Oh, okay.
I've forgotten about that one.
and I'll email Gordon about the 8th,
Okay,
confirming that.
That was at 4.
yes.
And that's at the school, correct?
Yes, at Point School.
Okay. I'd make a motion to go into executive session, but I don't have the statute in front of me.
Chapter 3.1, paragraph 405A to discuss personnel matters.
So moved.
Seconded.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
John,
Aye, John.
Jeff, I.
Yep.
Penny,